Today I'm showing you how to make my protein sandwich bread inspired by Maria Emmerich's protein sparing modified bread and by other YouTubers as well. So here I want to show you, I made myself a chicken sandwich with the bread, protein bread, and I'll show you how I store it in the fridge. After I slice it, I let it cool down and I slice it, and then I just put it in a plastic bag, the freezer bags. You can put this in the freezer or you can just put in the regular refrigerator, and that's what I do because I use this throughout the week. And you can toast it, eat it with butter. I toasted it a little bit to make the sandwich. You can also make put it in the air fryer and toast it there, and it's delicious. So we'll start out preparing our loaf pan. This is parchment paper, and this is a 9x5 loaf pan that I have sprayed with some avocado oil spray, or you can use butter. And I'm just using this method of crinkling the parchment paper so that it's easier to put inside my pan or to line my pan. I've never been able to 100% get it exactly how I see other people do it, but I found this method helps as well. And as always, the ingredients to make this bread and instructions are going to be listed under the description of the video. So what I'm doing here is I'm just using some regular egg whites, just egg whites from a carton. These are from Sam's, but I've used the ones from Costco as well. And I've done this with room temperature egg whites, and I've done this with straight out of the fridge egg whites, and the result is the same. The next thing I'm going to add here is some cream of tartar. And this is essential. Don't skip this ingredient. You're going to need this to help your egg whites whip up and stiffen up. And you're also going to need, at this point, some salt. I use pink Himalayan salt, but you can use salt, whatever salt of your choice. That's what this is here. And the next thing I'm going to add is going to be some allulose. Allulose is a sweetener substitute. You can use any type of sweetener substitute that you like. This is actually recommended because it helps with the browning of the bread. If you want your bread to be nice and brown on top, this is the type of sweetener substitute that will do that. You don't need a whole lot. I use 2 tablespoons, and this is a granulated one. I know they also sell it powdered. You can also use the powdered type. And then here I have 2 whole eggs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate these. And you're going to want to be really careful while you're separating your egg white from your egg yolks, because you are going to need the egg whites to go into that bowl where I have the other liquid egg whites. So you don't want any egg yolk at all. Otherwise your whites are not going to whip up properly, and you're going to have to just start the recipe over. So you don't want that to happen. And also no shells, please. And another thing you want to keep in mind is you want your bowl and everything that you're going to be using for this recipe to be dry, completely clean and dry. No residue of any water, moisture, or any fat, because that's also going to prevent your egg whites to whip up. And then you're going to, again, gonna have to start over. So I'm meticulously separating the egg yolks from the egg whites, and you want to make sure to use large eggs. If you can find jumbo eggs, even better. It's not going to hurt the recipe. It's going to actually help it. And this is the beater that you're going to want to use. If you don't have a stand mixer like mine, you can use the hand mixer. It's just going to take longer, but you can still do it. And so I start my mixer on the very lowest setting because I don't want the egg whites to splatter everywhere, because these can be really powerful. this, and as you can see there, I have it like a medium. It's already starting to whip up, so at this point I'll crank it up to the highest on my mixer. And it's gonna whip on this mixer. It really takes very little, about 3 minutes. So anytime, anywhere between 3 and 5 minutes. And you want to make sure that they're completely stiff. And if in doubt, you can continue beating it longer. It's actually better to over whip than to under whip for this recipe. So that was my egg white powder, and it's also called egg white protein, and it's just egg whites. That was some nutritional yeast. That's for flavor. And the next ingredient is arrowroot powder. It's also called arrowroot flour. I got that one from Thrive Market, but you can get that at the store, or you can get any of this stuff from Amazon as well. And I'm just using a whisk here to make sure that there's no lumps, because you want to have no lumps before adding it to the egg whites. The next thing is butter powder. I actually started using butter powder recently instead of using this other one, which is whole eggs, just whole eggs dried in a powder. The butter powder actually makes the bread taste super yummy. It really does. And that's one of the recommendations that I found from one YouTuber that also has experimented with this bread quite a lot. Her YouTube name is Indigo Nilly. And you can look her up if you want to look. She's got a ton of videos experimenting with this white bread. Quite phenomenal. Okay, and that's it. At this point, we're going to go ahead and add all the powder ingredients inside the egg whites. And you want to do this on very low setting. As you can see, I'm not doing it too fast, but I'm also not doing it too slow. And you want your mixer to be at the lowest, and you're literally going to mix this for like 10-15 seconds, and then you're going to stop. You're going to just scrape the sides and the bottom just to make sure some of the powder doesn't just stay on the bottom. But this mixture is going to deflate, so that's why you don't want to whip it too much. And here lastly, I'm going to add my egg yolks. This also adds moisture to the batter, and it makes the bread less dry than the original, in my opinion. And again, you're just going to whip it still on the lowest setting for about another 10 seconds. At this point, it's not completely mixed, so you just do have to do the rest with your spatula. And you're just going to go in with your spatula and fold in the batter, making sure to scrape everything on the bottom and on the sides. Some of my egg yolks were still not, as you can see, 100% mixed in, so I did that for a little while. And at this point, yeah, it has deflated a little bit. Sometimes it'll deflate more than others. I don't know why. This bread has a mind of its own. But for me, it has worked out every time. Sometimes a little bit more deflated than others, but it doesn't matter. You'll see what I mean when we put it in the oven and once it's ready. So here, I'm ready to put it in my pan. You want to do this as quickly as possible because it's going to deflate as time goes by. So you're just going to go ahead and put it into your loaf pan and make sure that your oven is preheated at 325 degrees Fahrenheit. And yeah, it almost looks like a souffle batter at this point, but that's fine. That's not a bad thing. This is a 9x5 loaf pan. If you have a smaller loaf pan, I do have another pan that's a little bit smaller, like an 8x4. That also will work. It may just rise a little bit more. And this bread is is really versatile. You can use it for sandwiches. You can make French toast with it. You can make bread pudding with it. And I do have a video that I did, the video before this one, with a blueberry bread pudding that I made with this bread. So make sure you check that one out. And we're just gonna go ahead and put it in the oven. If your oven runs really hot, you wanna just check it at about 30 minutes. But typically, it takes about from 35 to 40 minutes. I bake mine for 40 minutes. And I know it looks weird. Again, it doesn't look like it could be a bread, but trust me on this. Trust me, it will become a delicious bread. So just tuck it into the oven and wave it goodbye. I like to put it on the bottom rack. And just set your timer for 40 minutes. Do not open the oven once you have it in there. If you want to check it at like 35 minutes. And here I'm just showing you some footage that kind of tells you how your egg whites need to be pretty stiff. So now the bread has been in the oven for about 40 minutes. Look at that, you guys. Oh, delicious, nice and golden. I like to leave it in the oven with the oven turned off for about 10 minutes after it bakes. And here it has cooled down and I'm ready to slice it so I can show you guys what it looks like. And it smells delicious. Look at that. So depending on how thick you like your sandwiches or your slices of bread for your sandwiches, you're gonna get, anywhere between 12 to 14 slices. I like them to be thin, but not too thin. And again, this is a high protein bread, so you're gonna fill up faster with a sandwich with this bread than with just regular conventional wheat bread. So just keep that in mind when you slice them. And I hope you try this recipe. Enjoy. If you make the bread, please leave me a comment down below. Let me know how you liked it. See you in the next one.